In the midst of an entertainment industry that is increasingly fast-paced, loud, and saturated with attention, one thing now feels unexpectedly rare: sincerity that isn't manufactured. January 2026 became a moment when many people were reminded of this. Not because Kim Taehyung did something sensational, nor because he made a grand statement that shook the media, but because of the way he showed up as a calm, warm human being who truly listens without shouting, without gimmicks, without excessive distance between idol and fan. Kim Taehyung, known globally as V of BTS, once again demonstrated why his name continues to be discussed not only as a global icon, but as someone who feels real. Someone who, amid a level of popularity that seems almost unreachable, still chooses to stand on equal ground with the people who love him. Recently, public attention was drawn to a simple yet memorable moment. Not a major concert, not a grand stage, but a brief conversation between Kim Taehyung and a fan. An invitation that sounded ordinary yet left a lasting impression. "If you have the time, you should visit Vietnam someday." That sentence, spoken without a script and without dramatic intent, became perhaps the most honest portrait of who Kim Taehyung is today. In that brief encounter, there were no exaggerated expressions. Taehyung did not try to steal the spotlight. He listened. He looked at the other person with genuine curiosity. When the fan mentioned Vietnam, Taehyung responded with sincere interest. "Oh, really?" he asked, as if the recommendation were not mere small talk, but a personal invitation worth considering. When the name Hanoi was mentioned, he asked again in a light tone. When he learned that the fan lived in Ho Chi Minh City, Taehyung simply replied, "Oh, is that so?" Two simple words, yet enough to make someone feel truly heard. That is where Kim Taehyung's warmth lies. He does not try to appear kind. He simply is. There is no forced distance, no invisible wall between a world-famous star and a fan. There is only a conversation human to human. For many ARMY, moments like these are hard to forget, not because they are long, but because they feel sincere. In an entertainment world that often measures closeness through digital engagement or large-scale campaigns, Kim Taehyung builds connection through small details, through the habit of listening, through unpolished responses, through an attitude that remains consistent over time. This grounded demeanor feels especially striking when contrasted with Kim Taehyung's visual image, which has been widely discussed recently. January 2026 also marked his appearance in a series of visuals that were strong, calm, and deeply evocative. He did not arrive with promotional noise, but with a presence that was almost silent, yet intensely felt. Every frame seemed intentional, yet still breathed naturally. In one portrait, Taehyung stands facing the camera with his hands folded in front of his face. His gaze is calm, almost contemplative. There is no wide smile, no dramatic expression. Yet, it is precisely that stillness that makes people pause, as if the image does not demand to be seen, but invites reflection. Then the mood shifts. Taehyung appears in a sheer black textured top layered with a dark vest and futuristic glasses. His silhouette is slim, modern, and bold. Many fashion observers described it as a representation of modern masculine fashion, experimental, artistic, and uncompromising. Yet, beneath the high fashion aesthetic, what stands out most is not luxury, but the way Taehyung carries it with quiet confidence and restraint. He does not look like he is trying to be a fashion icon. He is simply being himself. And perhaps that is what makes his style feel almost impossible to replicate. Still, behind the avant-garde visuals and artistic aura, Kim Taehyung remains the same person. Someone who steps into the simplest of spaces. Human conversation. He does not place himself above fans, but beside them. He does not refuse photos, rush interactions, or display the coldness often associated with immense fame. From a communication psychology perspective, small moments like these can have a far greater impact than large campaigns or carefully crafted public statements. When a public figure gives full attention, even for a few seconds, it creates a sense of being valued that is difficult to forget. Kim Taehyung understands this not as a strategy but as part of who he is. His closeness with ARMY is not born from a single viral moment but from consistency, from small habits repeated without force, from a warmth that does not change even as his status and influence continue to grow. He does not try to impress everyone. He simply shows up as he is. Interestingly, it is precisely this attitude that makes some people uncomfortable. In a world accustomed to loud expressions and visual dominance, Kim Taehyung's quietness feels provocative. The masculinity he presents is not harsh, not aggressive, and not rooted in constant proof. He shows that strength can exist in calmness, and that charisma does not always need to be announced loudly. For fans, this feels comforting. For others, perhaps confusing. But one thing is hard to deny. Kim Taehyung cannot be ignored. A statement from Fast Paper magazine which said, "If someone asks about Kim Taehyung's future, tell them to lift their head and look at V's exhibition further," reinforces this narrative. It does not sound like ordinary praise, but rather a marker of the times. An invitation to see Kim Taehyung not only as an idol but as an artist building his vision quietly and consistently. Taehyung does not merely create works. He communicates. He uses the body, space, and silence as language. Every detail becomes a signal. Every pause carries meaning. And through it all, he preserves one thing above all else: his humanity. Perhaps that is why a small moment like an invitation to Vietnam feels so meaningful. Because behind all the artistic concepts, avant-garde fashion, and world-class visuals, Kim Taehyung still chooses to show up as someone willing to listen to another person's story. Someone who has not lost curiosity about the world, even though the world has long centered its attention on him. Now the question about Kim Taehyung is no longer simply who is he or what will he do next. The question has become something deeper. Why does his presence feel so powerful, so warm, and at the same time so challenging to the way we understand fame? The answer may be simple. In a world that demands everyone keep talking, Kim Taehyung chooses to listen. And in that silence, many people finally feel heard. In the end, Kim Taehyung's charm does not lie in how brightly he shines, but in how he remains warm under such intense light. He does not create distance through fame, nor does he hide behind the image of a global idol. Instead, he chooses to show up as a whole human being, listening, responding, and honoring every encounter, no matter how small it may seem. From quiet artistic visuals to a casual conversation about Vietnam, everything points to the same thing: consistent sincerity. And perhaps in an era where everything feels fast and noisy, it is Kim Taehyung's calm, grounded presence that keeps people staying, feeling close, and believing that genuine warmth will always have its place. This consistency in authenticity extends beyond fleeting interactions into the very fabric of his artistry. As V, Kim Taehyung has long woven personal vulnerability into his music and performances, turning introspection into a bridge that fans cross time and again. Tracks like Winter Bear or his solo works in BTS albums aren't just songs. They're quiet confessions, invitations to share in solitude's embrace. In an industry obsessed with perfection, he embraces the imperfect, the soft edges of emotion that make art resonate on a human level. January 2020's visuals, part of what Fast Paper dubbed V's exhibition, further exemplify this. Curated not as a mere photo shoot but as a visual narrative, they unfold like chapters in a silent story. One image captures him in profile against a minimalist backdrop, light catching the subtle curve of his jawline, evoking a sense of quiet resolve. Another shows him mid-motion, fabric draping dynamically yet restrained, symbolizing the balance between freedom and control that defines his public life. Fashion critics noted how these pieces, from textured blacks to subtle metallics, challenge conventional idol aesthetics, blending high couture with street-ready edge. Yet, what elevates these visuals isn't the styling alone. It's Taehyung's innate ability to inhabit them. He doesn't pose. He exists within the frame. This presence echoes in his recent collaborations, where he infuses collaborators' visions with his understated intensity. Designers speak of him not as a model, but as a muse who intuitively grasps the mood, offering input that's collaborative rather than commanding. In a sea of manufactured personas, his input feels organic, born from genuine appreciation for craft. fans or army, often recount how these layers, the everyday warmth and the elevated artistry, intertwine to form an unbreakable bond. Online forums buzzed post-Vietnam moment with stories of similar encounters. A shared laugh at a fan meet, a lingering eye contact during a wave. These aren't anomalies, they're patterns. Data from fan analytics platforms in early 2026 showed BTS solo content, particularly Taehyung's, leading in emotional connection metrics, surpassing even viral hits. It's proof that sincerity scales, turning individual sparks into a collective glow. Critics, too, have taken note. In a landscape where K-pop idols are pigeonholed, Kim Taehyung defies boxes. He's vocalist, actor, producer, yet none fully capture him. His role in Warring years ago hinted at dramatic depths. Recent acting teases suggest a return, perhaps in a project blending music and narrative. Speculation aside, his foray into photography, shared glimpses of everyday beauty, reveals an eye attuned to the poetic and the mundane, much like his fan interactions. This multifaceted approach challenges industry norms. Where peers chase trends, Taehyung curates timelessness. His influence ripples into fashion weeks, with emerging designers citing his looks as inspiration for quiet luxury. Sustainability advocates praise his subtle endorsements of ethical brands, aligning actions with values without fanfare. In boardrooms and ateliers, his name evokes not hype, but reliability, a rare currency in fleeting fame. Of course, such poise invites scrutiny. Social media dissects every pause, every glance, fueling debates on idol fatigue versus enduring appeal. Detractors label his reserve as aloofness, but supporters counter with evidence. Consistent lives, heartfelt Weverse posts, surprise covers that feel like gifts. In truth, his quiet challenges the expectation that stars must perform perpetually. He redefines success as sustainable presence, not burnout spectacle. Looking ahead, 2026 whispers of solo endeavors. A potential album, exhibitions touring Asia, whispers of film. Yet, true to form, Taehyung teases sparingly, letting anticipation build organically. Vietnam's invitation lingers as a metaphor. He's not just visiting places. He's open to the world's stories enriching his own. This curiosity fuels evolution, ensuring his art stays vital. In a broader cultural shift, Kim Taehyung embodies Gen Z's craving for authenticity amid AI-curated feeds and virtual idols. His humanity, flaws, warmth, depth, stands as antidote to the polished void. As global tensions rise, his message of listening transcends fandom, echoing in mental health campaigns where BTS advocates for empathy. Ultimately, extending from that Hanoi suggestion to horizons unknown, Kim Taehyung's trajectory illuminates a path less traveled. In fame's glare, he chooses shadow's wisdom, proving power lies not in volume, but vibration. As the world quiets to hear him, we learn, true icons don't demand ears, they earn hearts. And in this noisy epic, that may be the rarest music of all.